On top of Asim obviously coming into the squad playing horribly, a lot of these other guys have regressed.
They just don't get the bomb down. To be honest with you guys, it's just infuriating to watch it. So
every other team that's been making changes, bro, I feel like it's just getting worse, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Reverse Sweep presented by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code Reverse Sweep for our first deposit match up to $100. I just wanted to say I appreciate all those who subscribe to the channel as of late. Everyone who subscribes is keeping the show alive. So thank you for that. We're now around 10 days from Major 3, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that we're just dying for some COD LAN action. The online matches are getting to a point now where we just need to see these teams facing up on LAN. As always, I'm joined by Pat, Chris, and Doug to discuss it all. But first of all, Vegas Legion, again, yet to win a map since bringing in Asim. What do you guys think is going wrong there?
Pat, I'll let you kick this off because I know that you've been pretty vocal about this whole Vegas change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. Vegas needed to make a change. Let's not pretend here. Purge was clear cut their worst player by a mile, and the others were performing at a very high level. But with this change, they picked up Asim, and I was never really for this particular player filling the role that I would assume they wanted. I think they were trying to honestly replace Purge's role. And to me, they should have picked up a more risky change of someone that you knew was going to come in and get kills. And I think on top of Asim obviously coming into the squad and playing horribly so far, a lot of these other guys have regressed. Pretty much all of them, really. Like Geo in particular was one of their best players, and he kind of fell off. Attach fell off, Nero fell off, and I know there's always the blame of the team dynamic's different, but we've played, one player doesn't really just make three other players become ass. So something is going on in this Vegas camp that I think we're not really aware of. But I will say Asim has been horrible. I never particularly liked the Asim pickup. I think there was better choices they could have made. Reese Vivid being one of them, who got dropped off ROKKR, I think would have brought pace to this team and kills, and I think that would have really freed up some of these Slayers to do what they do best. So yeah, I mean they're really bad. They're 0-5 now. They were almost winless for 13 maps in a row. I expect a change almost immediately. I don't know if they'll keep this roster for the last weekend and the event and then make a change, but there's a change coming to this Vegas Legion team. I did see Geo, I think, tweet that they're going to turn it around, which makes me think they're confident in this roster and are seeing something we're not, but I don't think that's the case. I think that's a little bit of a delusion, and I expect this roster to change again.
Yeah, I'll take it from here just because I feel like there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Boston releasing Asim joining Vegas, the flank, everything, right? I remember the narrative when Boston had Asim and then we ended up releasing him. It was Asim was the best player in our team, and then he goes to Vegas, and now the narrative he's the worst player, and it's we got to stop all these narratives completely. I don't think Asim's the best player. I don't think he's the worst player either. I think it's as simple as you have to look at a lot of things when you make a team. The first thing is the pacing of the players on the team, right? So when I look at Asim, he's an extremely aggressive player. He's definitely pretty good at getting kills as well, opening up the map for his team. And he's also a very positive energy minded person. So when you bring him into a team like Las Vegas Legion, because obviously we're Boston Breach, we had him and Snoopy. And in my opinion, I just think Snoopy is one of the most aggressive players in the game. Super, super fast. Asim also is extremely fast too. I think when you have a sub duo, you kind of have to have a yin and a yang. You need like Simp with a Beezy. A Beezy's a really aggressive player. Simp, more of a hybrid player, kind of does everything really well. So with Asim being with Snoopy, I thought it was too aggressive, too much fast-paced submachine gun action. Now you have Asim playing with Nero, who's also an extremely aggressive submachine gun. But the X factor here is the AR duo on Las Vegas Legion. You have Attach. Obviously, he puts up great numbers, but we all know Attach is a slower player. He's also extremely smart. So he's going to put up good numbers and good stats. Sometimes it's going to be for the benefit of the team. Maybe sometimes it's a little bit too slow for the team. Then you're going to have someone like Geo. Extremely aggressive, super talented, a lot of gunny, highly aggressive as well. So when you put Asim, who's a highly aggressive player, combine that with Nero, another highly aggressive player, Geo, another extremely aggressive player, and then Attach, who sometimes might play a little bit too slow, you're going to have three really fast players and one player who's slow. The team dynamic clearly isn't working. There's not a map being won, but this narrative that Asim is the worst player actually infuriates me, because I think at this level in Call of Duty, with every player top to bottom in the league, and probably like the top 8 teams and challengers with all those players as well, they're all good enough to play in the league and win. It all just depends on the way you put the roster together. And to your point, Pat, I think that they needed to make a risk with maybe getting a player that could get kills. But what I will say about someone like Purge, which I'll disagree with you here, Pat, is that Purge creates amazing spacing and consistency on the map for his teammates, which is also why I think why Attach's stats were looking really good. Nero at times felt like he was unkillable on the map. I do think that every team does need that glue piece type of a player, and there's not many great glue piece players that also have a great mindset. I think Purge is a very underrated guy. So for this Vegas team, I agree. I definitely think a roster change does need to happen. What I disagree with is the amount of hate that Asim is getting. I never liked seeing this in Call of Duty. It's never been something I'm a fan of. I think that players are set up for failure depending on the rosters that they're playing with. And I just think this is a prime example of it.
I want to reply really quick because I agree with you. I don't want to say like Purge is a like dog shit player. I'm saying for what Vegas was trying to achieve, I don't think they could afford to have a glue player who was also statistically the 60th, worst player in the CDL. I think, there are players who can play that style, create spacing, make other players better, but can also perform to the ability to be a 5th, 6th team in the CDL. And I think that was Vegas's aspirations. And I don't think they were going to get there with Purge. But I don't think they're going to get there with Asim either. So that's kind of where it was like both are not the right answer, in my opinion.
I'm really not sure where they can move forward with this. I know you said to pick up Vivid, but I don't know if that's going to necessarily be the fix for this team. Everyone's regressed, so it's not like anyone is safe. The problem is like you're getting to the end of the season, and at this point, I mean, they're going to probably have to pick up a challenger player if they go and get dead last at this event, which I fully expect with this current team. I just don't really know who that player could be. You're starting to see players in challengers that are starting to play really well, like Wiz. He's been playing really well. I think they're in the finals of the Cup today. Fire, he's made a little bit of a resurgence. He's actually just won the Elite, and he's also in the finals of the Cup right now with his teammate Wiz. You also got players out there like Gunsy that haven't got like an opportunity, and then even some players from Europe that have played really well, like Vortex, and then like a new guy, Mythics. He's actually an AR player, but he's gotten like back-to-back Elite wins in the last like year. Like he's basically dominated the European online scene. So I don't know. They got to do some research because it's getting to that point in the year where if they're going to make a change, they got to make it super soon because clearly Asim is just not the right piece here.
I agree with like everything you guys are saying. I think another factor as well that's kind of been overlooked a little bit for Vegas's form is their map vetoes and stuff have been severely impacted since Major 2. Like their 2 best hardpoints were Invasion and Skid Row. Obviously, both of those maps got removed. Terminal was also a decent map for them. I wouldn't say their best S&D, but it was also a decent S&D for them. So like they kind of were put in a position where regardless, even if they'd kept the same roster, they were going to get worse regardless. And they were looking like that sort of 6th to 8th sort of range, but they weren't exactly, destroying everyone in the league. And I think that it just wasn't the right move. That's my opinion on the matter. And I think we all kind of agree on that it's just simply not the right move for the Legion guys. So as what it is, we'll see how they perform in the next week of matches, and we'll see how they perform at the Major, but it's not looking good for them. And another team that's not looking good for, Doug's boys over in Boston. Beans this weekend, unfortunately, has had a back injury and he was unable to play in both matches, so Shawnee stepped in, which was cool to see as the only previous coach that's played in the CDL. It was interesting to see Shawnee trying to run it up for the coaches, but obviously he's played this year. It was a little different. Coming in against OpTic and LAT, and I think he done fairly well, but Boston still without any wins there. What is there to really talk about from this weekend from Boston? Is there anything really to take away from the matches they played with Shawnee?
Same old, Chris. I mean, Shawnee came in. I'd say that Pentagram looks better with Shawnee on the roster because Shawnee's just going to be very basic and just go to a lane. Whereas with Beans, he's definitely going to be more aggressive on his lane, wants to win his gunfights on his lane. So the pacing and the dynamic of the team is definitely different with Beans as opposed to Shawnee. The results are very similar. Every single series with Beans, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 for the other team. And then with Shawnee, 3-2 for OpTic, which, I mean, arguably they could have won it 3-1, but we're not here for arguing. We're here for wins and for losses. And then today it was the same thing. I mean, Thieves just looked nonstop, lights out in hard point. Another round 11 loss in Search and Destroy. It's unreal. I will say they did try to make a play call in Search. You know, the 5-5 play call. They had Snoopy run up underground and try to hit a flank, but they obviously picked it up and then isolated him. It just seems like there's always one piece of the cog in Search and Destroy that is not on the same page as everyone else. And it always seems to be a consistent different piece. It seemed like this with the first roster of Boston Breach in the beginning of the year when they had Capsule and Slasher. It seemed like this when they had Asim and Slasher. It seems like this when they have Pentagram and Beans. It seems like this when they have Pentagram and Sean. There's just always a singular thing happening on the map that's screwing them over. A propane exploding and killing one of the players on the team. The whole team, like I said, pushes to get Snoopy underground, and then they all run backwards, and then Snoopy's left fighting 3 people in their spawn. It is the worst case scenario in Search and Destroy. It's to the point where I don't even know what the record is for most consecutive S&D losses in a row, but Breach is definitely taking the cake. They probably have it at this point. So the respawns look fantastic with Sean. The respawns look fantastic with Beans. The Search and Destroys look abysmal. And honestly, they don't have a bomb planner. I mean, they just simply are not planning bombs at all. And they had Pentagram planning bombs at times. Shawnee took the bomb once. Priest took the bomb once.
Like, you're saying is they need you, Doug.
I'm not saying they need me, Chris. I'm just saying the facts are on offense. I just would love to know how many bombs they planted and how many times they just get the bomb down. Like, they just don't get the bomb down. And it's infuriating to watch it, to be honest with you guys. It's just infuriating to watch it. So I think if they could ever clean up Search, they could turn it around because their respawn looks great. Their scrims look great. Their matches, their respawn looks great. But we all know, everyone on this panel knows, Search and Destroy wins you championships. I'm very big on believing in that too. So there's no one I'd think more frustrated than me on the sidelines watching this. I am cringing watching us lose all these Search and Destroys.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Wait, can you tell us, like, so what happened to Beans? Do you know exactly, like, what's wrong with him? Like, is it a private matter? Like, can you, like, tell us? Like, because his back injury is so, like, did he throw his back out?
I do know that he has a disc injury with his back. I do know that he went to the hospital for this. I do know that he went to the emergency room for this. That's all that I really do know about it. That's all I've been really told. I don't even know how it happened. I guess that would be the next question that I would want to know too, Chris. Like, how did this back injury happen? But I've never heard of this in gaming in my life. I mean, Pat, I've heard about you getting stitches in a thumb in a tournament.
Yeah, it's a big guy injury, bro. I've been there before.
Do these things just happen, Chris?
One day I woke up and I tried getting out of bed and I think I just did something wrong. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh, can't move. So I don't know. Something like that.
But is it something that stops you from being able to sit in a chair?
Yes. I've actually had a point where I couldn't like get up. I ended up recovering obviously after a couple of days of rest.
So it's like a lay in bed thing?
Like I was laid in bed like for like 2 days. It was bad.
It's got to be excruciatingly painful to sit up in, right?
Bro, back injuries are debilitating, like to the most insane degree where you like cannot move sometimes if like the right thing like goes.
And that would make sense. You can't even focus then, right? Like,
yeah,
I hope forward, you can't even focus.
As a you know, not as a big guy myself, I hope Beans recovers soon. That way we can see him playing out there, because I do think at the very least, you guys were way more competitive in series because Beans brings a lot of slaying power to your team. So at least when it came to those respawns, you guys were competitive. But as for the team, like the S&D, bro, it just seems like you guys have like no game plan. I feel like you guys rely heavily on blind counters whenever you guys or Boston. I keep saying you, but like you're affiliated with them. But I feel like Boston relies heavily on blind countering other teams. And then whenever they stop, you know, getting those like easy first bloods and giving themselves advantages and the team gives them nothing and forces them to make decisions, they just kind of look lost. As for where this team goes, I don't know. Pat, I think you were talking about it before, how this team is kind of just shocked.
Yeah, Doug, you might want to mute your ears for this one. But the way I kind of see it is this season is done for the Boston Breach. They would have to basically go to the next events and like win or place top 4 at both and do great in the next online stage. That I don't think is going to happen. So for me, their season in terms of qualifying for champs is over. And so if I'm Boston Breach, from a super high level executive standpoint, I'm viewing this year and even maybe even the past years as a learning experience and a failed project almost. I'm probably getting rid of my GM, my coaches. I'm starting to clear out some staff. It's clear that the decision making around the team has been very lackluster in the last 2 years with what they've tried to do. For me, I think, you know, with the direction that they seem to want to be going, which is building around Snoopy. I don't mind it. I don't mind building around some of these good amateur players, like we see it with Carolina with Gwyn. We've seen it in the past. I also think Snoopy is the only playmaker on this team, which is probably the biggest red flag. But yeah, I'm starting to clean some things up. I'm probably putting a pause on this whole like everyone must move to Boston thing. And I'm starting to plan for next year, because the reality is, like, yeah, you have 2 more events, but what you can really achieve is very limited. And so I'm getting a head start on next year. And that involves, of course, recruiting new GMs, new coaches, making a new clear direction on what this team is and where it can go. I also think Preston has been a letdown of a player. I don't think he was anything special on the original iteration of this team, and I don't think he's been anything special on this new iteration. And for me, like, he was the one coming off a world championship team playing kind of that role player role. So he had to come into this team and be a star. And so I don't think he's rose to that occasion whatsoever. So to me, Preston's done. I'm not that high on Beans. I don't even know if Boston's high on Beans. They've dropped him. They picked him up like that. I don't know where they really think with him as a whole. And obviously we don't know the extent of his injury and what that's going to look like. And then you really got to decide if Pentagram is someone that you want to keep. He's been extremely inconsistent since he's gotten his call up. He obviously has moments of greatness, but he also has moments of getting shit on. So for me, I mean, I think if Boston is convinced that Snoopy is their guy, I think you start looking around building a team that's going to work around Snoopy. And I think they kind of half-assed it in this last iteration where the goal was to do that, but they didn't put those pieces around. Because to me, if you're going to drop Slasher, you might as well drop Priesta, right? Because for how they view the game and want to play, it's the same. I don't think that's going to mesh with how Snoopy wants to play. So yeah, to summarize, I think it's just time that Boston views this year as what it is, which is a failure, and starts to make an early jump on next year, because I don't think waiting 4 months and making changes then is going to net them the best to be in the best position. So I think they get a head start on it now.
Bro, if they are like so invested in Snoopy needs to speak up. Like, yo, Snoopy, who do you want to play with? Look at all the players that are out there right now in Challengers. Look at all the people that are available, and who do you want to play with? And just go and recruit them, and just give him full control of who he wants to play with that is left out there. And then just see what they can do. Granted, I think they're not going to qualify. Just see what they can do. Make this player, right? If you're going to go all in this situation, don't just try to make people play around Snoopy. Get Snoopy to decide who's going to play around him. It's just not rocket science. I
don't know if he can make that decision though. Like, I don't know if you would also trust him to make that decision. I think the problem is they need someone that's
at this point, they have nobody else.
But that's my point, is the people that are making those decisions currently on their coaching staff, their GM staff, like I think they were trying to still build the Austin vision, right? Even though they got rid of Austin, and then fill Snoopy into it. And I think the biggest issue was the debate that came out of it beforehand, and that's obviously why Austin and Asim are not on the team anymore. But they kept Preston, which I think Preston views the same way that Austin does. So it's like, I just don't think they're really they're not making the right decisions. That's the bottom line. I don't think they did this year, and I don't think they did last year either. So for me, I think it's you need to have a decision maker in place that is going to make those decisions that understands the landscape better.
What I will say, playing with Snoops, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mark, but
oh, good.
When we ran the academy team on Boston Academy, it was pretty much copacetic. There was never any drama, problems, nothing but winning and victory all the time. And what I will say, it was the best part about it was like it was the same type of a core, and we were always able to plug and play something into the core. And once we brought Eric Snoopy into the core, it was very clear, even though we got third the event before with Kremp, it was very clear when we got Snoopy, the team was better. Like, we did not lose maps. We dominated. And even on land, we dominated. It was not hard on land. It was very, very easy, because it was very clear as an AR player playing with this guy, because I just switched to an AR at that time. It took me a little bit to get my footing, maybe like 3 to 4 weeks to get my footing, because I was terrible in the first 3 to 4 weeks. But once I found my footing with Kremp, and then Kremp moved on to the main team and we brought Snoopy into the team, I had a really great understanding of what I needed to do. And I was just thinking in my head, like, if I have an aggro sub that doesn't ever slow down, it would make me really, really, really impactful on the map. And it felt so simple with someone like Eric. It was like, I didn't have to do anything. I just had to like go to a spot and finesse the bottom line as best as humanly possible, because this guy was everything on the map in every single mode. So it was like, I don't know. When you played with someone like that, I just felt like it was too easy. And then obviously when he went into the league for champs last year, I felt like he did need to get his comms up. So I do think some of the criticism was deserved with Snoopy. His comms had to get better, but he is a fast learner. He's a great kid, and he's just as good on the sticks as he is as a person too. So I do think that this is a great learning lesson for Snoopy. I think that he's obviously only 19 years old. I mean, if you're a kid from Mexico that turns 18, plays with one Spanish team in challengers, goes into the league and has a bunch of different roster changes, and you're just trying to make sure that you are the best for the team, it's kind of weird because you don't want to speak up. You don't want to tell people what you think, what you feel. Like, you're just trying to earn your spot. Meanwhile, there's older players in the league, right, that have earned their spots and had their success, and they're not afraid to speak up. So it's almost like one of those situations where even though you haven't earned anything, if you're Snoopy, you've gotten dead last in 2 majors this year, top 6 at a world championship. It's a very weird dynamic for you, but you kind of have to just get your
It needs to grow the fuck up.
You need to just get your big boy pants on and be like, okay, I run this ship and this is what I want and this is what I do and this is who I am. And I'm going to bring you the most kills, the most damage as the entry aggro sub. I'm going to do it just as good as anyone in the game. And you guys got to fall in line behind me because I'm the frontline guy running at everything, killing everything. And I'm a sub. That's what my job is.
Really quick though, and this is kind of a question for everybody. Like, one of the biggest reasons I question the decision making on the breach is look at the talent that they've recruited through their academy process. And look at what it's netted them, right? Like, you have Ghosty, who is by far and away the best player on the LA Thieves, whooping their ass. He just dropped a 1.5 on him today. Crimp also came through that process. He was on Boston for a little bit. Now he's on LA Thieves, also kicking their ass. Then they add Beans, they drop Beans, they picked him back up. They had Snoopy. They now have I feel like there's been so much talent that's came through that Boston Academy situation, but it's not netted anything for the Boston Breach team. And it's, in fairness, netted other teams the benefits, right? And that's kind of where I'm questioning the decision making from what they've done and how they've translated the academy process to their main team. And it feels like they've dropped the ball on their main team and they've recruited talent for the league. That's where I'm kind of like, I think the decision making is the biggest flaw there.
I think with all the talent that they've acquired, through challengers, etc., they've always sort of put them in teams in a weird composition, in my opinion. I think that's one of the fundamental issues as well. And that's a question I have for you, Doug. Because I think Snoopy, the way I look at Snoopy as a player is, like you said, he's a super aggressive player, severely talented. Comms aren't great. From players I've worked with, Kleenex kind of fits the same bill. And I'm not trying to compare the two right now. That's a bit too early for that.
Similar players in a way.
But
Kleenex
similar players in a way.
Aggressive, though.
But the way Kleenex has always been historically within the CDL is he has always played as best when he's had that consistent SMG alongside him where you know what to expect from them. Like the likes of Bance, Hixie, Envoy, Standy, when he had that other chaotic player alongside him, is when Kleenex had his worst form. So I can see the sort of similarities there. And my question for you is Pentagram that guy in game? I don't really know him as, how vocal is he in game? Is he like that leader type figure? Is he going to be the type of guy who kind of coordinates Snoopy to do things on the map with him? Or is he just more laid back and chill?
No, I think you're very wrong about that, Chris. Pentagram is a do-it-all man that does everything, and he will stay in line and only do his job and only comp for himself. He will comp for others if he needs to. I've been in tight situations on land, down 3-5, game 5, win 3 straight rounds, and Pentagram would be quiet, and I'll say, we're going to nade A2 and plant the bomb, and he goes, okay, and then he just nades it and pops a 3-piece. So, he will do anything to win, and he's more so kind of like a Snoopy where he's going to just sit in his lane. And unless someone tells him to do something, he's not going to do it. He also can run an assault rifle as well. I mean, he went triple positive with one today. So he kind of could just do anything a team needs except for plant bombs and search and destroy, it seems. That's the one thing I've been watching in these matches. He never liked planting the bomb either when I play with him. He always told me he didn't want to plant it.
Can I ask, because I saw a tweet on the timeline, I think it was from you actually, from a year ago, that was like, oh, we're never letting Nate carry the bomb again, ever. And it was like all caps. I guess it was from referencing like back in Challengers. And so like I'm confused how if you guys knew back in the day that Pentagram was not a good bomb carrier and does not exceed carrying the bomb. I think there was like a stat comparison for like how he did when he carried the bomb versus how he did when he didn't. Why the hell is he carrying the bomb on the main team if that was already tested on the academy team and just, decided what was good or bad?
Well, I'll just say this. Like, the reason he was carrying the bomb on the academy team is because I was an AR and I just switched because I told him, look, take my job. I think you're an amazing SMG. I'm going to just go to the AR. If I suck, I'll retire. And he was, as the SMG, supposed to carry a bomb. We did it for like one map. And I was like, okay, I don't care that I'm an AR. I'm the best bomb planner in the world that has ever seen. I'm carrying the bombs and it's non-negotiable. And then it was amazing. It worked great. So I don't think it matters if you run an AR or sub. And he was like, thank God, because I don't want to plant the bombs anyways. Like, I just want to go make plays off of it. So it was a great dynamic. I think we lost 2 total S&D maps in 3 lands together with different teams. And he was dropping 2.0s every map. So in the league, it's just tough because if you're the bomb carrier, you have to expect to die, get stunned, get naded, drop bad stats. Like, it is what it is, but you have to be an enabler in a sense. So for the breach, I don't know why he's carrying the bombs. I'm not in the camp every day, but I think it's more so a thing where like everyone on the team just has to accept the role. And I think that it's okay to be the guy to drop the 0.8. It's okay to be the guy to drop the 1.2. It's okay to be the guy that drops the 1. It's more so about just understanding your roles and your composition and getting comfortable in those roles. I mean, for me personally, I switched from an SMG to an AR and I was dropping 0.5s for like 3 weeks straight. And I just kind of sat there and took it on the chin. So I think for anyone in the league, if you're trying to find success, I'm not a league player. I've never been in the CDL, but I've been a pro in the past. And I just think, Pat, it's more so like, even when we recruited you on FaZe back in the day, I was the one who ran the team. When I recruited you, it was very clear that like I had to kind of get in line for you because you were the GOAT. Like it was what it was. Or even Chris, when I played with you on FaZe, like you became the most vocal player. I kind of had to just get in line because you didn't want to stop being the most vocal guy. And it's like, well, I can't question your credibility here either because you're passionate. You know what you're saying. So with the breach, it's the same conversation, Pat. It breaks my heart to see a lot of the talent playing on other teams and like doing their thing as well. But
who is that guy on the breach right now? Like, who is the guy that's like, I can't question your credibility. Like, we're gonna listen to you. Like, who is that voice? Is it Preston? Like, Preston's never been that guy on any team he's ever been on. Is it Dins? Is it Zed? Like, that's what I'm saying. Where's the call being made at that's making the decision? That's where I'm kind of lost at.
I'm not in the day-to-day process in the room, but I mean, I would love to, honestly, at this point. I'd love to just sit in the room and just be a fly on the wall. But
what do you guys think, Mark or Chris? Like, who do you guys think is that voice for that squad?
That's the issue. That is the issue. That's what the kind of initial question that I had for Doug was. I think Pentagram, is he that leadership type figure alongside Snoopy that Snoopy needs to be that elite level player that he can potentially be? I don't think he is. And I don't know who is that leader figure for that team. I don't think they have any, to be honest.
That was the weird thing with their roster with keeping Preston. Like, I mean, like I've known Preston a long time. He's always been like the quiet guy on the squad. He's not your most vocal. He's not like leading the charge of the guys. I don't know Beans like that, but I have to assume he's not that guy either. So that's kind of where I was always confused. Is like
he's very vocal. Beans is very vocal.
He calms, but he's not the leader role, right? He's not like making the executive decision in the moment. That's kind of where I think this squad is missing. Not that they need a quote unquote leader, but like I just don't think they have that voice that like is the fallback. And maybe that comes outside of the game too. So that's kind of where it's been confusing for me.
Yeah, no.
I think their leader has to be Preston, right?
Which is weird to me because he's never been that role ever once in his career. That's why it's also very strange. So it's like him being a role that doesn't fit him, which I think could also be adding to the reason he's not playing as good as he should.
Duarte, we need you to come back. You want to be the leader?
Dude, I'm not playing. I would love to coach.
You want to be the guy?
Fun. I would coach.
All right, guys, that's it. We're going to move into some PrizePicks action. You want to take us away, Pat?
I do. Unfortunately, guys, we had that Beans did not play, which kind of messed up our power play, but it's all good. PrizePicks does offer all maps for every match, as well as stats like kills, headshots, first bloods, and many more, which gives us a chance to make more educated picks. Unfortunately, we can't foresee Beans having a health issue and having to sit out, so we did not play for him. I will say, I'm never letting you guys convince me again to take Vickle or anyone on Miami more. I'm not doing it. I don't care. That team stinks. And so obviously he ended up going way less. And then of course Gio, we called that correctly. His pattern of falling off continued against the Atlanta FaZe. Any thoughts? Any recollection? Because some of these picks were you guys, so I need some accountability here.
Well, obviously the Geo less was a really good call. We all kind of agreed with that. I mean, the Vegas Legion right now are currently the worst team in the league. Although Boston is losing too, they're just not winning a single map, so we could be tit for tat with it. But obviously, when you have a team dynamic where you're not even winning a single map, it's going to make you even more in your own head as a team and as a player. So the Geo less was a great call, especially versus FaZe. Vickle more versus NYSL. I guess just Miami didn't really show up that well this weekend because, again, Miami seems to be a hit or miss team every other week. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. They just didn't show up this weekend, and Vickle didn't either. And then it's just kind of like a boring pick'ems, honestly. Like, these were very predictable matches in a sense, and the wild card was the Beans not playing as well. So it's just kind of like one of those pick'em weeks where it's like you got to keep looking forward to the next one.
Beans would have been feasting if he was playing, I'm telling you. He would have been feasting. But yeah, I mean, the Vickle one, like NYSL, they came in and they took care of business this week.
They bounced back, right? So
yeah, I don't know. We didn't really know what to expect from that matchup. So in hindsight, I mean, it looks pretty bad with how NYSL panned out. But ultimately, I think they were pretty decent choices from us, to be honest.
Okay. Well, like Doug said, all we can do is look forward. So we're going to look forward to next Friday. We got 2 matches. Unfortunately, only 2 because of the CDL scheduling. We have Toronto Ultra against Boston Breach, and we have LA Thieves against Seattle Surge. I don't know if Beans is going to be back, so maybe we avoid picking Beans if we want to pick a Boston player. But first series, Toronto Ultra versus the Breach. What do you guys think?
I think it's kind of dodgy picking any breach player off the idea that we don't know who's going to play. You know what I mean? I feel like it could be a bit risky in a way. So I think that we should honestly look at Ultra from this matchup.
Yeah.
To be honest, and I'm thinking honestly, Jamie Insight had a good series this week,
but he had an awful one the one before.
Exactly. What I was going to say is, I think he's a bit inconsistent at the minute, and I'm not sure he's found that consistency yet. So I'm thinking his projection's going to be increased from his last matchup. So we go Insight less. That's
a good pick, Mark.
Oh, I
less
see what
more
you're
than
saying
less
here.
again.
Yep, he's flip-flopping. He's all over the place.
Chris, you've been a Jamie Insight critiquer. So what do you think?
I mean, it's either him or Envoy for less.
The weird thing about those guys is they've never played good in the same series. Like, either one of them does okay and the other gets shit on, or vice versa. They've never both played good at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I don't know.
I will say, given how, Boston has been pretty solid at respawns, hardpoints particular, like, I think this could be like a drawn out game 1, right? It could go the distance. Map pool wise, I mean, if we get like a Vista or a Rio, like, I don't know if I mind Jamie Insight less here. I think I like that, Mark.
Yeah, I think it could be a situation though where we do get like a Rio or a 6-star potentially in this matchup. So it could be a strange one. But yeah, I'm with the Insight less. But I mean, he's probably going to watch this and just get that motivation and try and prove us wrong. But we'll see what happens.
So you guys cool with that? Insight less?
Yes.
Alrighty, next series we have LA Thieves against Seattle Surge. I don't know where to start.
I like Joe Deceives more in this one. I just feel like Joe Deceives is a player that's really aggressive, and I think he would match up very well versus a Seattle roster to just kind of feast away. I feel like Ghosty just had a fantastic series versus Breach. And he obviously has been frying all season long, but I just feel like Dan's the type of player where he can kind of do it all. Like, he could drop you a 0.8, 0.9 and make the other guys enablers, and he could also be the guy dropping the 1.2 being the enabler. I feel like this is a Joe Deceives virtuoso series versus Seattle Surge. They win this game as well, 3-1. So I think a Joe Deceives more sounds good for me.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I also think like
We're on
Seattle
the
would be
Seattle
super.
side.
Yeah, I'm on the Seattle side thinking about them right now. Kyler had an absolute stinker.
He did.
He had an absolute stinker, and honestly, he's usually that guy that's setting pace. He's going to get a high amount of kills. He had the least kills. He had the
Least
least
damage.
damage. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't looking good, but I believe in Kyler. I believe in the bounce back. I'm writing this hypothetical storyline in my head, and Kyler's coming in. He's coming in hot, and he's going to be setting pace, unlike this week. So I'm thinking Huke more.
Mark, I feel like you got some crazy strategies in your head right now. The insight less based on the up down. Same thing with Kyler.
Yeah, well, sorry, my voice just cracked there. I'm thinking outside the box now at this point. I was thinking straight up before. I'm taking the thought process to our level, you know?
I mean, I like it, Mark. I'm down to go with it. I mean, look, we enjoy testing our skills on PrizePicks this season. It's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy esports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250. So, Mark, I think this week we're gonna test your skills and see how it goes. So, what do you guys think? We lock in Mark's picks. We go Joe Deceives more and Kyler more,
I'm down to give Mark
as well
a
as
shot.
Insight less.
Listen, I'll hold my hands up next week. If everything goes wrong, I'll sit on this show and apologize deeply. I'll look into all your eyes and I'll apologize.
This is your bounce back from the fame pick, Mark.
Exactly,
This is what that'll be.
That's the redemption arc that I needed.
All right, so we'll lock that in. We'll do Insight less, Joe Deceives more, and Huke more. Remember, download the app today and use code REVERSE-SWEEP for first deposit match up to $100.
We obviously spent a good amount of time just in that segment there talking a little bit about Insight and his performances. And as of late, he's obviously not been performing great, but he has a good bounce back season, the Battle of North against Minnesota. Where are Minnesota right now? Like, where do you guys see them? Like, honestly, do not know what to think about this team. Obviously, they're 2-4 in the current stage. They've had good moments throughout the season. They've had bad moments. Where can you see them like finishing off in this sort of overall standings heading into the major? Can you see them squeezing into those spots for the winners bracket?
Well, because you could potentially qualify for the winners going 2-5, I feel like we always have to say yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
2-5 is crazy.
I kind of have ROKKR in like the 8, 9, 10 spot, and I don't know where to fill them in. Like, I don't think they're better than like LA Thieves. I don't think they're better than like some of the potential teams, but kind of the same. We've seen them regress player wise. Lynz in particular was playing phenomenal in the first half, and now he's fallen off. Lamar has fallen off drastically since this roster change. Their pace has changed, so I really don't know what to think about ROKKR and kind of where I would want to place them, but could they make winners? Sure. Like, sure.
I don't think ROKKR's good. I think the two best teams, and I said it before they made the roster change, and I guess one of them didn't. I said it before when we came into this split. I said the two best teams, the only team that has a chance at breaking their streak is LAT, but the other two best teams are still the Ravens and the LAG, bro. They give good teams a run for their money on some maps.
Well, you mean win. Thieves, right?
Thieves, Ravens, and LAG. Thieves is the only team that has like a chance to go into this event and upset for a top 6 against like LAG or Ravens. I don't think Vegas is good anymore. Miami, maybe sleeper, with how they've just been up and down winning series, but Seattle, no. I don't really know. Like, I feel like it's up in the air. I still think LAG and Ravens have the best chance at like making the winners bracket and then like making like a top 6 run.
So you think the one player change from LAG was a huge success, and you think that the Ravens just sticking together with their chemistry has been improving while all these other teams making roster changes have been declining?
Yes.
Including OpTic seeming like even though they're winning, they're not winning as convincingly. The only thing consistent here is Atlanta FaZe at the top, and OpTic still a second, but has a little bit of chinks in their armor.
Yeah, I feel like this stage, like nothing's really changed for me with these teams. Like as plenty enough. Like, yeah, the results of the standings and then the matches and all that stuff, like taking those away, I feel like the way I rate these teams and the way I rated them before, besides Vegas, right, being the only team that's changed for me in terms of like how I rated them, is just nothing's changed.
Yeah, it's a mess. it's a mess in the mixture in the middle, to be honest. Like, every day, at this point, I'm not even getting excited if teams get wins, because I'm like, tomorrow they might just be dog shit again. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I think, like, looking at the matches, LA Thieves I believe they play against Seattle next week. So, like, LA Thieves have a good situation to potentially win that game and put themselves in a spot where they're top 4 seed going into the major, which could see, like, teams like New York and one of the top seeds like New York and Ultra or something like that matching up in the winners round 1. But I think that matchup between Ravens, Miami, LAG, and Minnesota for those, like, last 2 spots is going to be, like, super important for not only this event but also for champs. Like, looking down the line, getting into that winners bracket spot. But hypothetically, at the same time, you can dress it up that way, but also, more than likely, these teams that get that 7th and 8th spot are kind of in the same spot anyway, because they're playing against FaZe and OpTic round 1 and going to get dropped down into losers round 1 anyway.
Yeah, it almost doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly. So the way it feels at the minute, to be honest. But ultimately, I think that you've got teams like you mentioned, LA Thieves, for me, are on the upward trajectory. Barring that reverse sweep last week, they'd currently be 5-0. Looking to go 6-0, so they're kind of in that same conversation as we had Vegas last stage.
This isn't a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's just kind of like something that I've realized, and even Pat will just kind of be mind blown. How is it that we sit here and can rate teams like LAG, teams like Ravens, whatever, etc., so highly, and like they haven't really moved in their position, in my opinion, when like Ravens have been so fucking ass and just rely on one player to go off, and he's doing it to the point where we rate them this highly among the rest of the bottom teams? How is this even possible?
Well,
what is this league?
Well, that's
right
why
now?
I hate that the Ravens didn't make changes, because I genuinely feel like the Ravens are 1 or 2 moves away from solidifying being the 5th best team. That's why I was so mad they didn't make changes, because to me they have a clear-cut upgrade. But yeah, you're right. Gwyn is him. Like, straight up, Gwyn is him.
Gwyn is him, but at the same time, you got to look at it like this. TJ Holly and Tyler Fellow and Clayster not only have all won in the past, but they all have chemistry with each other. So I don't think they really care about looking the best on the map at all times. They've been around for a very long time. They're obviously improving and trying to be the best they can be, but I think that they're at the point as players where they know exactly who they are. And I think it's easy for someone like Gwyn to play as well as he is with this dynamic of a team as well. So I think it's a great combination of a team. Like, overall, I just think it's a great team combination. I think you have Ice and S&D. I think you have decent Respawn. And I think that's why they're sticking, and that's why they're still doing well.
Yeah, they're decent at everything.
They're decent at everything. And I feel like if you're decent at everything, the worst case scenario is that you're a middle of the pack team and you have a chance to win a championship.
You know what it is, Ray? You know what it could be? Like, if I'm looking at all these other teams that are making changes, Bor, LAG, every other team that's been making changes, bro, I feel like it's just getting worse, bro. Like, it's so scary, like, at this point to make. Well, I guess that's actually kind of wrong. There's been LA Thieves has made a good change. Miami, I guess, has gotten better. Never mind. I take back what I said, but like,
I mean, Seattle couldn't get worse.
There's some teams that I feel like I guess couldn't get worse, and that's probably why they made the changes. But I think like Ravens, with how they've been like decent and placing well, like they just don't want to get worse. They don't want to.
Well, keep in mind they did make a change, right? Like they started this year with Real and got RX, so they did make changes. Like
recently though. I mean,
I think that teams like
teams to be good, right?
Yeah, I think that was definitely a successful one. And I think that, like you guys are touching on, Ravens are a spot now where they're fairly close. They're literally 5 points off of the top 8 placements. And I think they're in a point now where they believe that they can just chip away and get the points and not really need to worry about making a change in order to like make champs, even though they're not in that sort of top 8 placement at the minute. But
wait, so has every bottom 8 team made a change? They have, right? Since this game came out, every bottom 8 team has made at least one roster move?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
It's good, but some of the roster changes have been pretty dog shit, so...
Yeah.
We'll obviously see how it all shapes up next week at the event. Will Miami win a map at LAN? Find out next time.
I don't believe it.
Let's move on to some community questions, and I want to say again, fantastic questions in the chat, so make sure you're getting them below. And we're going to start off with Dylan Jacklin. He has quite a funny question. Who would win in an arm wrestling match? And there's 4 matchups here, right? So I'm going to go through each matchup one by one. There's some of them that are just pure mismatches. Starting with this first one. AW Huke versus BO4 Temp. I'm not entirely sure why he's specifying games.
Going Temp.
Win an arm wrestling match.
Any game.
Yeah, Temp.
Arm
any
wrestling?
Game. Yeah, arm wrestling. Yes. This is a hypothetical arm wrestling.
Kyler was literally like, I think he was underage at the time. Remember, he had to quit like in BO3 to go play Halo because he was under 18 and couldn't play Black Ops 3 when the league made a 18+ rule.
Wasn't he a short, chubby 15-year-old at that time?
Yeah, he was shocked, bro. Like 10 wins by a landslide.
Yeah, it's literally a 20-year-old Temp versus a 15-year-old Kyler. Like even
let's ignore the games. Let's just do the person.
Yeah. Okay, this one's a good one. Nade Shot versus Aches. Who's winning?
Oh,
Patty
me.
P.
I'm winning that.
Patty P's winning that.
Pat's whooping ass, bro.
All right, I feel like I've got to like just argue for Nade Shot's case in that sense.
Fuck you, Mark. All good though. I respect it.
Nah. I got you.
If you come up, Mark, I'm picking the other guy.
Nah, I got you. All right, next one is Chris versus Austin. Chris has been on his gym grind.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but Austin was on his gym grind.
Yeah, I guess you would have. We have to go peak. We have to go
Austin-
peak versus peak.
Oh,
Peak
I'm
Austin.
shocked. Peak Austin wins.
Does he?
Yeah.
What about
peak
BO3
wins.
Austin? Do you have him?
Like chubby Austin?
Yeah.
Nah, he's shocked, bro. Box head Austin? Nah, he's shocked.
Oh man.
I've got you on that one, Chris. To be honest,
Thank you.
I've got
Appreciate
you
vote of
easy,
confidence.
easy, mate.
Easy?
Yeah, easy. And then this one, we've got Doug versus
Doug.
the King.
Doug versus himself.
Doug versus Seth Abner.
All hell,
You guys
Seth. Jack Seth.
Nah, he's not beating you, Doug.
Dude,
You're
dude, we're talking about fucking arm wrestling. You're doing 12,000 pull-ups in
Actually,
24 hours.
1,860 pull-ups in 2 hours and 35 minutes today.
Yeah, I'm going Doug. Doug.
I'm not going to lie to you, Jack. Or, sorry, Dylan Jacqueline. Great question, but at the same time, I feel like some of these matchups are pretty poor. I'm not going to lie. We could get some better ones for a hypothetical next time.
All right, here we go. For the cast. MarkyB versus Ben Bance.
MarkyB versus Ben Vance.
Yeah.
That man's got the long arms, man. I don't
No,
know.
he does, but they snap easier, you know. that thing's snapping in two easy.
Listen, I got Mark, bro.
Yeah,
Mark's got the sleeper build.
I'm going to take
Exactly.
Mark, too. I'm just going to
Sleeper
take
build.
Mark just because he said that Ben's arms are going to snap easy. So I'm just going to say Mark because of the
Exactly.
confidence.
Exactly. We'll move on to the next question, right? So we've got Curtis asking, this is an interesting one, who is the best secondary / pistol player of all time?
Nagafin, Black Ops 3 with the MR. Was it MR? I forgot what it's called, bro. It was the pistol.
MR6, bro.
The one where the MR6, right? That
Yeah, that was pretty
it's
absurd.
got to be Nagafin, bro. Or it's Rambo Ray with the Akimbo Berettas in Black Ops 2.
Those were absurd.
That guy's in hell for using them.
Wait, who
against
had the
VHS.
best COD 4 Deagle?
You would know better than us, Pat.
I don't know.
I don't know
but
who would have
What
the
about Choppy?
best.
Choppy?
I will.
I don't know. If
take-
you watch Hastro's COD 4 montage, half of his
Deagles?
kills are Deagles. Yeah.
I will say I had the best Modern Warfare 3 revolver of all time. Actually, that was one underrated.
Is that the one you
game.
had the knife with it?
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Grant, you say what you want about that game. The kills, like the guns, all that stuff were so satisfying to use. I remember that was back in the day where like Deserto would actually would make montages, and they used to have the Desertage, and I loved watching those. And like there was nothing more satisfying than seeing like a double kill, right? With like your MCW, Jesus, ACR, and then whipping out the revolver and just spraying somebody down from like long range. Oh, that
The
revolver was
sound,
amazing.
the sound it made as well. It sounded so clean, you know. What I mean?
You played back then. You would know about the revolver.
Oh,
If-
mate,
if-
I'm the first clip of the Desertage, mate. Go and have a look at it right now, mate. I'm the very first clip of the whole thing.
If
Let's
Chris
go.
Marsh is watching this, he's gonna love that gas from you, Chris.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. I love the Desertage.
Yeah, no. I remember like at the events they would like show them live before the grand finals.
Oh
Shit
yeah,
was vibing.
hype. It was so hype.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I agree with you guys on that anyway. Nagafen. Maybe I can't even think of anyone else to be honest. Right, Frosted ask, hey guys, I want to ask what would your ideal COD game be if you created one? For example, BO2 maps, BO3 streaks. What game would you choose the guns from, perks, etc.?
Give me Black
Quite
Ops
a long
1
one.
Black Ops 1 movement where it's just bare bones, everyone's using the same stuff, and then give me Sledgehammer developing maps, because I think Sledgehammer makes really good maps, especially like when it comes to balanced maps. Like we give Treyarch a little bit too much credit, because Cold War, honestly, Garrison with just 2 lanes and bringing back all old school maps. I think Treyarch has a lot to prove this year with the maps, and I think they'll deliver because of the 4 years. But give me Sledgehammer maps with Treyarch Black Ops 1 engine.
Fuck.
My answer is pretty easy.
Say it.
It's X-Defiant.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to be honest.
Mark, we're coming out May 21st. That's in like 2 weeks. I had to plug that in. But no, I would probably say Black Ops 2's like perk / balance system, right? Like how you had the tacticals, the perks, that whole kind of pick 10, that game balance in general. And I would probably say COD 4 map design.
It's a good shout. I think I would agree with that. I wouldn't go COD 4 map design. I'm gonna say that I think that Treyarch's map design was good up until Cold War, to be honest, and then obviously they brought back the recycled maps. If I'm thinking with rose tinted glasses, I also think that Black Ops 2 maps were probably my favorite. I'd probably honestly just go Black Ops 2 for the majority of stuff.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. Well, hold on. Question: what about gunplay? If we're picking purely gunplay, like gun on gun, which game would you pick?
I'd probably still say Black Ops 2, man.
It was good. It was good.
I don't want to
like
say low
hypothetically.
key, bro. BO3 gunplay.
Yeah.
I would say BO3 pre-SMG stock buff. So like the beginning of BO3. When they buffed the stock on the SMGs, I didn't like how the game transitioned.
I don't even remember that happening. Holy fuck. That was a thing?
Yeah, it was a big thing. That like no one ran stock on SMGs in the beginning of the game, and then it became
the fuck out, bro.
the main thing.
We've been here for so long.
Not
here, but I'm talking about like playing COD for so long. Like,
dude, this is going to be an underrated, or not an underrated, but a hot take of a choice. And Doug, you'll like this one. World at War gunplay was smooth. It felt good to get kills in World at War.
Dude, no one played the game more than me in the entire world. You're talking to the guy who played the most COD. It
felt good. Yeah.
It was addicting. They got to remake World at War, man. They got to remake that game. Give us some more of those maps. I know there were like so many pointless dead spots on the maps, but I think that's what kind of made it fun. And the streaks too. The dogs are really nice.
Yeah, like how COD 4 got the remaster. Like I would love to play just a war, like kind of how Halo did their like Halo Master Chief Collection. If you could get a World at War with a few of those old ones, oh dude, just for the nostalgia of fun, that game was a blast.
The popularity was insane back then too. I'm pretty sure the numbers were like ultimate peak as well. It's not like it was a dead game. I mean, that game had a lot of people. Dude, that game had a lot of people playing it. I would love to see it.
Yeah, it did. It was popular.
I'm not gonna lie, my M1A1 trigger finger was out of this world, man.
You had a Mario controller, Mark. Don't lie, Mark.
To God. And then when BO3 came out and the MR6 was on, I was like, I'm gonna be unbelievable, and my trigger finger was stiff by that point. It was terrible.
If they do remaster it though, they'll have to nerf the MP40 headshot multiplier, and then everything else will be great. Because remember it one shot headshot? Yeah, that was absurd.
That's true.
But yeah.
Next question.
Gear 43. Sorry, Gear 43 was the best single shot gun in that game.
That felt good too.
Dude,
that's what I'm saying. It was just so satisfying.
Yes.
Yeah, it did sound nice. The next question is from Hadzi. He asks, do you guys think if from the start of the season every league game was played on LAN and the majors, do you think the standings would be completely different and we would have different major winners?
No, yeah, Miami wouldn't have a single point if it was all online.
I don't think we would have different major winners because they were still on LAN. But I think the standings could be a little different. I still think the top 4 would be the same, but yeah, I think there would be some teams that are definitely worse on LAN in the bottom 8 for sure.
No, that's crazy, bro. I'm sorry, that's foul. I don't mean it.
No, I mean, Chris, it's valid.
What a map.
Yeah, if you can't win a map on LAN, I mean, I know, like, we're not trying to spread negativity here, but like, it is what
hilarious.
it is.
It was just funny. I just had to say it because it would be funny.
I think that it would change slightly, but I don't think the major winners would change either. I agree with Pat. I think that some of the changes would. I think, like, obviously, like if you're playing on a different server and you're from LA and you're playing a team from wherever, and you got like to change the pings and everything, I definitely think it plays a factor. So a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I think like you guys said, it would all just be the same. You'd maybe have different matchups earlier on in tournaments because of the results of those matches, which then in turn could have impacted the results. But I don't think any of the teams in the top 4 would not be placing in the top 4. So, yeah. Next question we have is from Connor Robertson, and he asks, if you had to compare COD dynasties to NBA dynasties, who would you compare to?
COD dynasties to NBA dynasties.
I mean, it's only been 3 COD dynasties, right?
Yeah. So
but there hasn't been. I guess it depends
dynasties.
your criteria. There hasn't been a ton of NBA ones either.
Yeah, I think we outline the COD dynasties first, and then we can compare the two. So we've got Complexity, we've got Farrakhan Impact, we've got.
Oh, we're using Frico. Okay.
Are we gonna put Frico?
I mean,
because
like,
it was a short dynasty. Like, are we talking for a whole game or because Frico's like what, half game, Chris?
Yeah, that's
dynasty
true.
for like half the year.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to call it a dynasty, we just had a really streaky run.
It was like 4 months of 4 months of dominance.
It was dominance for a few.
Alright.
months,
I would
for
probably
sure.
say Cole, OpTic, and FaZe, and then if you want to add Frico, we can. But I don't know if we'll have enough NBA
dynasties that are
ones.
like Frico to it to make it comparable, like a shorter
But
dynasty.
like no NBA, that's not a dynasty in the NBA though. Like,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
then any team that won 1 championship, would be considered.
Right. This is my take.
I would see like the Nuggets as like the Frico dynasty in a way, kind of.
I think
Current
OpTic
Denver
are the
Nuggets.
Golden State Warriors. OpTic's dynasty are like the Golden State Warriors, right? They were
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Then they brought in KD. That's what happened with OpTic, right? That's
Yeah,
so
I
OpTic
would
are Golden
agree.
State Warriors.
Although I guess you could make like the Scump Steph Curry comparison because that's the one who was like there, but like they kind of bought all their other talent.
Yeah.
So it kind of means like bringing in KD, etc. Yeah.
OpTic would always just like take the best player. Like that's what OpTic's bread and butter's been since the beginning of time. They had their guy Seth, and then hey, this team has a guy. We're taking him next year.
They even
guy.
they even took Seth when Seth wasn't there. So
That is true. They took him from you.
that
could
used to be
even-
Big T and Rambo.
I was going to say, you could even hypothetically call them like the Lakers, potentially. Like the Lakers like Kobe and Shaq, maybe?
Listen, bro, I'll take the.
Nah, I wouldn't do that one.
I'll take the Lakers.
Nah,
I think the
Lakers
Warriors
in the
make
bubble.
sense.
Yeah.
The Lakers in the bubble, dude.
So Frico
So we have
Impact is the Lakers in the bubble. I like that.
But that's
It was
not
like a
dynasty,
mental
that's not
fortitude
dynasty
grind.
either.
And Frico used to get in your head too. Like at the beginning of that game, I remember how intimidating it was to play against Frico. So the Lakers in the bubble with the mental fortitude could be Frico. I think the Bulls are the obvious choice for complexity with Pat.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat was like MJ on the sticks, and his mentality and his demeanor, it was very.
Nah, Krim was
That's the
MJ,
gas right
dude.
there.
Pat was Pippen, bro.
Oh, you're faded. You're faded. Super faded. Remember, Krim couldn't even get picked in 8 lobby before I picked that guy up.
No way.
So who's Atlanta FaZe then? What's the Atlanta FaZe dynasty in basketball terms?
They're like the 60s Boston Celtics.
Wait, what? Nah, that's insane. We can't even go that far. What if they're the Showtime Lakers?
The Showtime Lakers? What's
Nah,
that
they don't
even
have
what that
enough.
is?
They don't have enough personality for that.
They're just strictly business.
I mean, they
man.
could be the Kobe Shaq Lakers.
They have
Oh,
to
if
because of
they're-
the championships.
Yeah, I was gonna say they could be like the Duncans, the Spurs with Tim Duncan.
Yes, they're the Spurs. They're strictly
But-
business and they just win.
But I think they're a little bit better than the Spurs dynasty.
Yeah. Wait, how many championships did the Spurs win?
I think like 5.
Really?
Klaros,
I didn't realize it
I'm
was
gonna
that
check
many.
right now.
Jesus.
They
I
won a
only
lot.
really got into basketball like
with
over the last
Duncan,
couple
I
of
think
years.
they won 5.
That's mad. That is mad. So
They won
that's
5. Yeah, the Spurs are the Atlanta FaZe. I just think people forget about the Spurs. They
Yeah,
forget how good they were. They were nice.
99. Well, the problem with the comparison is the Spurs were also going up against like the Lakers,
yeah, true.
the Kobe Shaq like.
What about optics? Like we're having we still haven't even got to the optics dynasty. What are
No, we
they?
did. We said they're the Warriors.
Did we?
Golden State Warriors.
They're
Yeah.
the hype
Golden State
beasts.
Warriors.
Optics always the hype beasts. I feel like the Spurs play some of the
Never
best
mind, I'm
basketball
trolling.
ever, and Atlanta FaZe is
I
playing some of the
blacked
best COD too.
I blacked the
So-
fuck out.
Now you're good, Chris.
Right.
That's a good question though.
Yeah, and to be honest, guys, we've actually flown through those questions way quicker than I expected. So make sure you guys comment below their questions for next week, and we'll try and get through those whenever we can, to be honest with you. And that's it from us, guys, at the Reverse Sweep presented by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code Reverse Sweep for a first deposit match up to $100. Like the video, keep those amazing comments coming, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all there.